Hello viewers, today we are going to read in detail something more about reading comprehension. We have already learnt in the last program something about reading comprehension and the different types of reading and the reading speed. Now let us proceed further to understand in detail more about reading comprehension. The objective of this lesson is to help you all to be aware of the stages in reading, to tell you about the qualities of a good reader, to make you understand the process of reading, to show the advantages of good reading and how the reading passages will help us to develop the language skills, to modify the speed of reading to suit different purposes, to relate spelling to sound, to develop the word analysis skill, to enrich our vocabulary, to become aware of the sentence structure and the composition of paragraphs, to read the sentence group rather than reading the paragraphs, to read individual words rather than reading sentences, to avoid undesirable reading habits, and to know the traits of good reading skills. So let us begin by understanding the different stages of reading. There are 3 stages in reading. Let me remind you, we have read about the different stages of levels of comprehension, and now we are reading about the different stages in reading. There is the literal recognition stage, the interpretative recognition stage, and the connective recognition stage. What do we mean by the literal recognition stage? In this stage, the information is presented on the page for all of us to see, and the reader draws the literal meaning from the text. What is interpretative recognition? As the word suggests, the reader goes a little further to understand the writer's point of view, what the writer is trying to convey. That is, he tries to understand the writer's interpretation of the text. Then, what do we mean by the connective recognition? As the word suggests, the connective recognition is establishing a connection between what you read now and what you already know. This can be done depending upon our prior knowledge and experiences. A reader begins to look at things with a different perspectives, and he begins to change his views. When we are talking about reading, we should also know what are the qualities of a good reader. A good reader should be able to comprehend a given text. Therefore, it is important that he develops or possesses certain language skills. Now, what do we mean by language skills, or what are they? Let us understand each one. The first language skill for a reader to have to comprehend the text in an easy manner is phonetics. Phonetics is the study of sounds. The nature of English spelling is a little confusing. A person will be able to pronounce words correctly only if he knows the sounds of the letters or the alphabet. Phonetics is the study of sounds of the human speech, their production, distribution, combination, and representation. If a person knows all this, only then will he be able to comprehend a text thoroughly. The second skill which a person should have to be a good reader is the sight recognition vocabulary. As the name suggests, a reader, when he reads, he should be able to know the shape of the word to do a quick reading and to understand or comprehend the text. The third skill which he should know is the word analysis. A reader should develop the knowledge of morphology or the rules of formation of words to be able to comprehend the text in an easy manner. For example, he should be aware of the formation of prefixes like un, non, and dis, and he should also be aware of the suffixes like shun, nes, and ity, which forms new words. In addition to these skills, a good reader should be also able to comprehend the structural analysis. Arrangement of words in a sentence is known as the structure of that sentence. The study of the rules that govern the way in which the words combine to form phrases, clauses and sentences is known as syntax, which is a very important component of grammar, and a person should be aware of the grammar to be able to become a good reader. Now, what else should a reader know in order to be a good reader? Is clause analysis. A reader should have sufficient knowledge of clauses and clause clusters to understand the meaning of the sentence. A clause contains a group of words which will have a subject, a verb and a predicate. A clause can also stand on its own to make a meaning of its own. A sentence can have one clause, many clauses or clause structures, and depending upon the clause structures in a sentence, the sentence can be classified into different types. A reader should also have knowledge about the paragraphs in a sentences, and that is known as paragraphic analysis. Generally, a paragraph is made of many sentences, but the main theme or the main idea of the paragraph is conveyed to the readers by the topic sentence or the theme sentence. All other sentences in the paragraphs are supporting sentences which either support the main theme or provide additional information to the reader. It is important for the reader to know the different kinds of sentences that are present in a paragraph and which make a full paragraph. The next thing which a reader should know is the mechanics of writing. What exactly do we mean by the mechanics of writing? By mechanics of writing, we mean the heading, the subheading, the title, the placement of the word and the layout that helps us to derive the exact meaning from the text. Another important skill which one should have to be a good reader is punctuation. The punctuation marks contribute a lot to the meaning of the sentences. By changing the punctuation, the meaning of the whole sentence may change. Therefore, it is important that a reader should be aware of the punctuation rules and uses them accordingly in a sentence. Now, let us proceed further to understand the process of reading. Whenever we read for enjoyment or for pleasure, we begin with the chapter and do not stop till we reach the end of the chapter. But can we do the same when we are reading a text? Of course not, because reading a text means we need to understand it, comprehend it and retain the matter for a long time to come. There is a special technique for all of us to read and comprehend the text, and this technique is known as the SQ3R technique, which stands for survey, question, read, recite and review. The SQ3R technique is a different method of reading textbooks. It enhances understanding and retention of the text for a long time to come, and it also saves us a considerable amount of time. Let us understand what this process of reading is. What is survey? As the word suggests, survey is taking an overview of what you are going to read. This step is very important as it helps us to understand the text in detail. Before reading, survey the material, spending only a little time to get the background knowledge. This is the initial orientation which will help us to organize the material and makes the reading very easy. What are the steps of surveying? The first step of survey is survey the title. Glance through the topic heading and try to get an overview of the reading. The next step is to look at the introduction and the summary. Read the introduction to find out where the chapter is going and read the summary to find out what the author is trying to tell us. The third phase is survey the boldface heading or the subheadings. This creates a framework for us about the chapter in your mind. This framework provides us with the structure for the thoughts and the details that will come as we read the text. The next step of survey is the graphics and the diagrams that are present in the text should be surveyed. For example, the charts, the maps, the diagrams, pictures and other visual aids in the chapter say a lot about the text and significantly convey meaning to us. The next step of surveying is the reading aids. What are reading aids? These include italics, chapter objectives, definitions and study questions at the end of the chapter. These aids help us to comprehend and remember the information. Now, after survey, the next one is Q, which stands for question. Question is, as we all know, asking. And why do we ask? To find out more. So, what do we do when we are reading? We need to find out more about the text. Questioning requires a conscious effort, but it is useful as it leads to active reading. It is the best way to understand and retain the material. Asking questions deepens your comprehension. Asking questions helps you to find out what you need to learn and the purpose of reading. What are the steps of questioning? Ask questions before reading, during reading and after reading the text. Use the words what, why, who, where, when you ask questions. Look at the main heading in the chapter and turn it into the question. And as you read the different sections, ask questions to clarify meaning, to speculate about the text that is yet to be read, to determine the author's style, intent, content and format, to focus on specific components of the text, to locate specific answers from the text, and ask questions even if it is difficult to find the answers. That will help us to comprehend the text better. And after questioning is reading. Read to find out the answers of your questions. When your mind is actively searching for the answers, it becomes involved or engaged in the learning process. This will help you to understand and remember the information. What are the steps to reading? Read the first section of your assignment to answer your questions. When you find the answers, jot them down in the margin. This step is known as note taking. If you have finished reading the section and haven't still found out the answers, then you need to reread the section again. This time, reflectively read the passage and try to understand what the writer is trying to tell us. Now let us understand an important component of reading, that is note taking. It is an important component of reading, as we have known. It is an effective technique of writing brief study notes under the headings or the subheadings, or writing down the key words or the main idea of the paragraph in the margin that is adjoining the text. This helps you to understand and retain the information for future retrieval and recall, and you will not have to read the text again and again. The notes should be taken down clearly and legibly, as you may have to refer to them again and again. Do not take the notes the first time you read the paragraph, but read the text part by part, understand it, locate the specific meaning and then put them into your own words. As you read the paragraph, highlight or underline only the main points. When you underline the main points, do it minimally and focus on the important points. Avoid the temptation to highlight every line, as you will waste time marking what you should learn instead of learning it. And now we have come to the second R, that is recite. Reciting means repeating loudly what you have read and learned. It trains your mind to concentrate and learn as it reads. Once you have read the first section of the text, look away and try to recite or read out aloud what you have read. If you are able to do that, that means you have understood the text. If you are not able to do that, you are required to read the text again. The next R is review. As the word suggests, reviewing helps you in the mental organization of the material. It helps us to build memory. We learn through repetition, and reviewing is the repetition of the material, and therefore we will enhance our recalling abilities. After reading the entire assignment, repeat the questioning process to test your memory. Review your notes for an overview of the chapter. Review to find out what you learned from the text and how your prior knowledge and experiences have helped you to understand the text. What is the material significance? What are the implications? What are the applications? And what more questions are you left with? So, by looking at this, we understand what is the survey, question, read, recite and review technique, which will help us to read the text and comprehend it and retain it in our memories for a long time to come. Let us now read further to understand why should we read and how does reading help us. There are many advantages of reading. Let us understand each of them. The first advantage is reading helps our pronunciation. How does it do it? Let us understand. One can improve pronunciation by reading by the method of sound scripting. What is sound scripting? Sound scripting is a method of bolding key content words and capitalizing the most important words in the sentence for that emotional impact. The sound scripting exercises improves the word stress and intonation and helps us to become more expressive. How do we do the sound scripting? Let us understand that. Sound script a paragraph by highlighting the content words. Read the sentences by accenting these highlighted words, and the other words should be read normally. This will help us to read more naturally and pronounce correctly. Once you become comfortable reading one paragraph, you read the full text, read it aloud and then read it silently. Choose some nursery rhymes, some newspaper articles or some short stories and read them by using the sound scripting technique, as this will help you to pronounce with rhythm. Use the dictionary or other online resources to find out the meanings of the new vocabulary and also to read the correct pronunciation of these words. Now let us understand sound scripting by reading the paragraph with sound scripting and without sound scripting, and let us find out the difference between the two. The paragraph is: our school is the best in town. The teachers are friendly and very knowledgeable about English. I have studied for 2 years in this school and my English is improving. I hope you can visit me in school and try an English lesson. Maybe we can become friends too. This is the paragraph which I have read without sound scripting. Now let me read the same paragraph with sound scripting. Our school is the best in town. The teachers are friendly and very knowledgeable about English. I have studied in the school for 2 years and my English is becoming very good. I hope you will visit our school and try an English class. Maybe we can become friends too. Do you find any difference between reading the first one and the second one? Definitely yes. The second one brings in a lot of emotion and helps you to pronounce each word correctly and thereby bring effect into your reading. Now, the second advantage of reading after pronunciation is it helps you to build your vocabulary. How does it do it? Let us understand. As you read, construct vocabulary trees from the articles that you are reading. Build mind maps based on the stories or articles. Highlight all the words that you do not understand. Firstly, try to understand the context and then look for the meaning and add them to your vocabulary diary. When you come across a word which you do not understand, find out the prefixes and suffixes, as this will help you to form new words. Find out the antonyms. These are words with an opposite meaning and are often related. For example, happy, unhappy, misinformation, information, etc. Use a thesaurus to find out the synonyms. Synonyms will help you learn a group of words with similar meanings. Note down the nouns and the adjectives that you do not understand. Finding out the answers to all this will help you build the vocabulary. The third advantage of reading is it helps you develop your conversational skills. How? Let us read. Choose an article or a short story. Read with friends or classmates and discuss the article together. Each person should write down 5 questions about the article. Develop a debate by reading a few more articles and build points on that. Hold a debate in the class, making arguments based on what you have read. Read a short play with a few friends. Make conversation about the play. Talk about the characters. Read the dialogues and enact the play. You can also read a biography. Pair up with friends or classmates and take on the role of a famous person and the interviewer and pretend to be giving interviews or asking questions. This is how you build your conversation skills. What is the next advantage of reading? Reading improves your grammar. It helps us to focus on various tenses or forms in a text that you are reading. Highlight the main verbs as you are reading. Highlight the nouns, adjectives, adverbs in a red color, and highlight all the structural words, articles, auxiliary verbs in a different color. Find out what are the linking words like although, however, but, first, next, so on and so forth, and find out how they are connecting the words or finding a relationship between the words. Find out the prepositions that are used in the sentences and analyze their functions. Finding out the answers to these questions will help you improve your grammar considerably. The next advantage of reading is it improves your listening skills. Read the text and record it with the help of the audio. Listen to it. Repeat it at least once in a day. Read aloud to each other in a small group. Identify and find out meanings of new vocabulary in the paragraph. So these are the ways in which reading helps you to develop your conversation skills, your listening skills, your pronunciation, so on and so forth. Now let us proceed to read about academic reading. What is academic reading? Academic reading is the process of reading a text to comprehend it and to answer the questions that are given at the end of the passage. But there are certain rules which we have to follow to be able to answer the questions, and we have to be very, very careful in doing that. There are certain do's and don'ts which we have to follow when we are doing the academic comprehension. Let us first read what are the do's and then we shall read what are the don'ts. The do's are: Keep an eye on time. Don't spend too much time on any one passage or question, as you have only specified time to answer the questions. If you cannot do a particular question, mark it, leave it and proceed to the next question. Return to this question if you have time remaining with you. Answer as many questions as possible. Look carefully at the title of the passage or any subtitles and illustrations. You can get a quick idea of what the passage is from these. Read the instructions for each set of the questions very carefully, as it is important for you to do exactly as you are told to do. Skim the questions before reading the passage so that you know the purpose of your reading. Use the glossary, if any, if it is given in the text, which will help you to understand unfamiliar words. Pay attention to the examples that are provided. Make sure that your answers keep to the word limit asked for and do not write more. Make sure that you copy the words accurately from the text. Spelling mistakes will mean that you are going to lose marks. If you have to write the answer yourself, make sure that your answer is grammatically correct. Now, these are the do's of academic reading. Let us find out what are the don'ts of academic reading. Don't waste time reading the whole passage each time for each set of questions. To locate or check the details in the text, skim the passage quickly instead of reading it all very carefully. Don't go back to the beginning of the passage for each question. The answers will come in the order of the information in the passage. Don't forget that the questions can come before reading the passage as well as after the passage. Don't become anxious if there are questions you cannot answer. Leave them and move on to the next questions. Don't worry if you do not understand every word. It may not be necessary for you to understand all the words in the passage. Don't waste time. Write your answers on your answer sheet. You will not be given any extra time for this. Don't write more than one answer when only one is required. Even if both your answers are correct, you will not receive marks. Hope you have understood the do's and the don'ts of academic reading and it is clear to you. With this, we have come to the close of this unit and hope that the reading comprehension is clear to you. Thank you.